What's up guys, back with another TFT guide here, and this one's going to be a little bit more of an advanced guide. It's going to be for you guys who've been stuck on the current patch. Just like me, I was Master 0 LP for a while, trying to play Flex. I had Poro as my legend. I was trying to play every single line depending on what opener I got, and I just got steamrolled by Vanquisher Xayah players. Every single time we get to level 7, they seem to roll down, 3 guys hit their comp and just can't compete. So I decided if I can't beat them, I'm gonna join them, and I started climbing. As you can see, got up to 116 LP here, and the games just feel so much easier. So I'm gonna explain exactly what I've been doing in this guide, but first let's just take a look at the stats. We can see that Vanquisher Xayah has got a 4.22 average place, anything above 4.5 when you're climbing. But this is the pick rate. It's got a 1.3 pick rate, which means it's picked as much as Bruiser Cho'Gath, Rogue Graves, Sorcerer Silco, and Noxus Mordekaiser combined. Now, okay, that's a little bit more than 1.34 if you add those 4 comps, but remember there's also spin-offs like Vanquisher Nilah, which is just this comp plus a few juggernauts, right? So the comp's busted, but there's a couple of problems with the comp. Number one is the early game units. So if we look at the 1 cost and 2 cost here, we can see that Ashe and Jhin clearly on top of the pile, along with Cho'Gath and Cassiopeia if you're playing the Bruiser reroll line. But not everyone can hit a Jhin 2. Not everyone can hit an Ashe 2 in the early game. And if you're contested 3 ways and someone else hits that, well, you're in big trouble, right? Because your early game is going to suck and you're basically going to have to roll all in and pray that you hit a better board than your contester has. So let's look at the early game board and let's think about it. We need Jhin, right? We need the Ashe. Preferably we need, well, basically we need Jhin 2-star, and then we want to have the Ionia Juggernaut frontline, like this. Then what we do is we put our Nilah and Xayah items, a mixture of whatever we can slam, we put on the Jhin. So let's just say, okay, I slammed this for Nilah and I made this for Xayah, and then we did a Guardbreaker as well. And those were our items. And for our tank items, well, the most important tank item in the meta is Bramble Vest, because it stops Vanquisher Xayah damage from critting on your tank, so that's very important. So we put this on a tank item because we know we're going to sell the Warwick later. This is our board. The second step to executing the Ionia Vanquisher strat is to get to level 7 and to be able to hit Xayah, Sejuani, and Nilah. You don't have to hit 3 of those, but ideally you want to hit something like this at level 7. Or if you have Xayah, you hit her instead. And then we transfer the items over to Xayah, and eventually we add in Nilah, and eventually we add in Scion, depending on your augments and if you have any +1s. +1 Ionia, you typically go for 6 Ionia. The problem with this is, number one, we need to hit the early game board. So we have to hit the Jhin 2-star, and we ideally want to hit a 2-star frontline or a 2-star Ashe. And we need to get to level 7 before everyone is contesting us and roll down to find the 1-star forecast. So how do we do all this consistently, right? And the answer is going to be Caitlyn. So if we take a look at Caitlyn's augments, Stars Are Born works perfectly for forcing the strat, because we guarantee to get the Jhin 2-star, you will always in stage 2 see a Jhin. You pretty much see him sometimes on stage 1-4, and you can just lock your shop and then you get the Jhin 2-star. And we will always get either Set, Ashe, or at the very worst case, Warwick. If we get Warwick, we can stack all our tank items on Warwick, sell him eventually, and switch them over to Shen if you're playing the 6 Ionia version, or Sejuani if you're not. The next step of Stars Are Born is the fact that it gives you 6 gold. Not only does it give you quite a bit of gold worth of units if you take a look at the two stars that you're going to get, but it also gives you 6 gold. So your eco is being snowballed, because ideally you want to be able to go on a win spree with your 2 stars, and you want to be able to save up a lot of interest. So you're going to be able to roll down before other players are able to roll down for the Vanquisher Xayah comp. And that's the magic. That's going to be why this augment legend and build is so successful when you combine it together. And I've been climbing. What we're going to do today is I'm going to take you through a game that I played, which was so vanilla, so standard, nothing special happened, and you're going to see exactly how easy it is to top 1 with this comp. But before we continue, and there's going to be one more thing I want to say, how you can actually make a modification to play a little bit flexible and climb a lot more. But first I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you're looking to climb, looking to get some advanced guides that isn't too difficult to execute and doesn't require a Giga Challenger brain, then this is the channel for you, and it really helps me. So appreciate if you guys can do that. And then the last thing I want to say before we jump into the gameplay is, when you master the Stars Are Born version of this build, you can then also add in 2 more comps. So what you can do is you can add in Bruiser Cho'Gath and Rogue Graves. And what we're going to do is, on our stage 1 shops, when we see our 1 costs, the units we're going to be buying is just going to be Cassiopeia, Cho'Gath, Aurelia, Jhin, since that goes into our Xayah Nilah comp, the Vanquisher build, and then we're going to be buying Renekton's and obviously and Graves. These are basically the units we're going to be focusing on to buy on stage 1. If you get a lot of Graves, you can just then buy a 2-star Graves and buy a 2-star Qiyana, or if you get the bunch of Cho'Gaths, you just buy another 2-star Cho'Gath and buy a 2-star Vi. So you can play around these builds as well, but I'm not going to go into that today. But I'm just saying, this is basically what I'm doing. I'm 90% of the time playing Vanquisher Xayah, and 10% of the time, if I get a strong opener, I go into the Bruiser line or I'll go into the Rogue line, because they're also very strong and no one can contest you. Because if you hit a natural 2-star Cho'Gath and then you go for Stars Are Born, you basically have already hit. And if someone else wants to contest you, well, now you've already removed 6 of these out of the pool, so good luck to them. That's kind of why Stars Are Born is so OP right now. Alright, so let's jump into a game here. This is one I played 30 minutes ago, and I'm pretty excited to show this one because this game was pretty standard and very easy to replicate. So we get Dreaming Pool. Like I said, we're just going to be collecting those 1 costs that we talked about that lead into the Bruisers, Rogues, as well as Ionia start. I'm thinking of what to do because I want to tailor my board to get the Ionia units. We haven't gotten an insane Rogue start, we haven't got an insane Bruiser start, so it's clear that I want to play Ionia Vanquishers from here. What I'm going to do is just buy the set and the Ashe, put them in to give me odds to get another set Ashe or Warwick, because it's Dreaming Pool and we know we're going to get a 2 cost that's based on our traits. Also, we have a chance to get 3 gold from the neutrals and make 10 gold here. There you have 2 options. I really wanted a Jhin, so I didn't pre-level, but I would say it's also completely fine if you want to pre-level, hit level 4, and ensure that you get higher 2 cost odds, because that gives you a better chance of hitting the Ashe or the set. But in this case, I didn't. Another thing you can also do is, if you have a 1-star Jhin in your shop, you can lock your shop and buy the Jhin on stage 2-1 to get you that guaranteed 2 cost. But as we see here, we just take Stars Are Born. I don't really have great items, and I have 2 sets already, but I have another 2-star set, so it's not the ideal start at all, but we'll take hitting the set and the Jhin. That's kind of high roll. Here we're just gonna play the set. We can't really slam any items except for a tank item, which eats up 2 components that we don't need, so I think we're going to go ahead and slam the Adaptive Helm here and just play with an open rod. Definitely not ideal items. We can maybe fast forward and kind of take a look at our board again on the neutral round. So yeah, let's take a look at our board at the neutrals. Unfortunately, we dropped around on stage 2-2 because we didn't have 3 Ionia in. So 3 Ionia is going to be very important because it gives your set extra HP. Every time Ionia triggers, he's going to get bonus health, and that's very strong in the early game. But regardless, we were able to 4-win on stage 2, and we're set up in a good spot. Unfortunately, our items aren't great. So it's tempting to slam a Thief's Gloves, but just remember you need a lot of gloves for your carry items. Vanquisher scale of crit, and they don't want Infinity Edge because they crit already. So you want to build things like Hand of Justice, you want to build things like Last Whisper, and these all need crit gloves. So here's our spot, and let's just take a look at this fight and take a look at what augment we get on stage 3-2. We've got a pretty good front line. To get the dub. And here, this Common Caster is not bad. It's decent, but I would start by rerolling these two, and if I get anything else that I'm willing to take, I'll also reroll the Combat Caster. So I believe that's what we'll do here. Silver Ticket's decent since we have two 2 stars already, but Idealism is just perfect because it's one of the best augments you can get in this comp, and we already have a Hand of Justice. So that just works perfectly. Now, I made a mistake. I should have rerolled the other augment because if I got exactly Ionia spat, I might have taken that, but kind of punted a little bit there. And we buy the extra gens since we are going to transfer items, and in the case that we get a Vanquisher spat, we then need to replay the gen on our board because that'll give us the 6th Vanquisher. So I decide not to put the Hand of Justice on Karma, rather on the Warwick, because I see I can't win this round against a Bruiser. His board is way too strong, he's hit everything. So we know we're going to sell the Warwick, so that's why I put the Hand of Justice on the Warwick instead of on my Karma. And now we can see our eco is in a very strong spot. We're going to be able to go to level 7 on stage 3-5, plus have about 20 gold to roll down. And here I'm just scouting to see if anyone's hit. And it looks like there's one Nilah, but there's not a lot of sets out of the pool since there are 2 people contesting us, but they haven't hit all that much, and that's to be expected. We're still on stage 3-3, and we're fighting a guy that's contesting us, but he hasn't hit much, and this should be an easy win since we've got 2 2-star sets. It's fairly easy win for us. What should we take on the carousel here? We've got an open glove. Ideally, we'd take a tier, but the tier's gone. So now, whenever you're in doubt what to take, you can just ask yourself, do I have Thornmail? If no, take a armor. Do I need to build more carry items? Then take a sparring gloves. Otherwise, just take a damage item like a bow or a sword. That's typically how I think about my itemization. So all that was left for us was a sword and a forecast. We'll take that. And now let's take a look at how much gold we end up with here. So we end up with 26 gold to roll. We never want to go under 10 gold at stage 3-5 on our level 7 roll down. This is part of the strategy. Otherwise, it's very difficult for you to recover your econ and to do a second roll down on stage 4. So we're just going to roll. And we're going to roll to, like I said, 10 gold. Just transfer the items from Warwick, and yeah, this is our board. Don't really need this Karma, that can be sold. Don't need the Warwick, that's never going back on our board. That can also be sold since Darius gives us Vanquisher and Juggernaut. Here we're fighting another guy who's contesting us. He's got Sentinel Spirit and Know Your Enemy. And we just crush him because we have 2 stars and he doesn't. We're gonna make 20 gold. So generally we want to kind of recover our economy here, and if you hit a 4-2 augment that encourages you to roll, then you can play that. If you hit a 4-2 augment that encourages you to go level 8, then you can go level 8. Because sometimes we need to go level 8 to fit in 6 Ionia or 6 Vanquishers or whatever the case might be. Okay, so we can see how strong this board is. It's obviously Giga broken, and we were able to also 4-win stage 3-6. Nothing special happened for us here other than hitting the very early set engine. So let's go through here, see what items we get dropped. Okay, that's pretty good. We get a bow, we make 50 gold. And here we know obviously we're going to get the Xayah because we have the Dreaming Pool. We can already look to 3 item our Xayah. I do decide not to build the Last Whisper here, and the reason for that is I wanted to greed the open glove for another Hand of Justice. That might have been a mistake, but I figure there are other ways to get Armor Pen, and we already have Freylord. Now, you don't only want to rely on Freylord for Armor Pen in this comp. You typically do want another item, but you can also build a Even Shroud, and there's not a lot of good ways to kill a glove as well as a cloak. So I typically don't like to slam Last Whisper if I've got better options, and in this case I do with the Hand of Justice. So that's why I didn't slam Last Whisper in this case, but I can see an argument for slamming that. So here we have a bunch of crap. Martyr's not very good in our comp, but we get return on investment. And that's going to give me the sign that I need to stay level 7 this game and just roll for my set, for my Ash, and for my 2-star forecasts, because I'm going to get a Tactician's Crown once I've rolled 18 times, and typically you'll need about 60 gold to roll 18 times and buy the units you need. So we're just going to do this over 2 rounds. Let's just kind of see what happens here. So over here I decide to roll to 40 until I hit something. I was prepared to go to 30 and then send it down on the next round since I need about 60 gold total, but we do hit the Xayah and we stop there. Our board is still very strong. To lose this fight, since this guy is pretty much online with his board as well, having best in slot Azir items as well as a Nasus 2.5. As you can see here, we have 4 rolls, right? So we have 14 rolls left. That's going to cost us 28 gold, leaving us with 22 gold to buy whatever units we hit on those rolls. I decide that that's enough, and I'm going to send it here. Get an Ash. Just making sure that I have enough eco to buy everything. And there's my spat, and I add the invokers in for now. We'll find another unit to play. Since we're not playing Xayah, we don't need to play Shen Karma. Unfortunately, this Cho'Gath one taps my 2-star Xayah there. I should have looked at positioning, but I was rolling. You generally want to be positioning away from that Cho'Gath in the early game, and in the late game you want to position your Xayah on the same side since she can burst him. So here we are looking at the same stuff again. We're looking at obviously the Xayah with the bow, the glove, armor, but I decide to go for the spat because I feel like I want to play around 6 Vanquishers here, and it's going to be very easy since I've got an open slot. I have got this extra Shen or this extra Karma that I don't really need, and I can just play around 6 Vanquishers and then add in another good unit like a Scion, for example, without even having to go to level 8. Since it's Dreaming Pool, we can guarantee to get a Scion on stage 5 here. All we need to do is find another Bruiser, put it in, and take out Ionia. That means we won't get an Auric and we'll get a Scion instead, because there are no 5-cost Vanquishers. Don't have to lock for this Darius. That's not going to be worth it. Darius really doesn't do anything in this comp. He's just a random unit that we play for traits, a trait bot. So that's why we sell the Darius there to make the Nilah. And we're 1 away from Ash and 1 away from Set. So this turned out to be a very good spot, even though I would say our augments aren't particularly busted in this comp. And the best thing about our roll was just that we hit a Xayah too. I think you could very reliably hit the units we've hit on your roll downs because you're rolling before everyone else. We rolled before the other players. These guys might send it in on stage 5-1, and we've hit a long time ago. So here, unfortunately, I did not get the Bruiser, I can definitely see the argument rolling for it to put in another bruiser, but I decided not to. I just wanted to save my gold, and we're going to end up getting an Ari, but I wanted to save my gold because I want to try and hit this set or the Ashe. So I can sell this Ari and just miss, unfortunately. Honestly, looking back at this, the best item probably would have been to go for the chain vest, since we need to build the thorn mill. I just wanted to get 3 items on my Nilah, but I think going chain vest and putting it on set would have been the best option here, because we know we're gonna get him to 3-star in this game. It's inevitable. Now we fight this guy again. This is his ghost. Let's look at how this fight plays out. And it's pretty easy. I think it'll be a much closer fight now if we fight the real player, since we've hit our board. All that's left for us here to do is just add a Scion. We still don't hit our 3-star 2 costs, but that's fine. Here we can see, this is what happens when the Cho'Gath is on the Xayah side. He starts to get focused. Now, we don't quite have the damage to burst him, but you can see that how dangerous it is for that player to put that Cho'Gath and try to get him in on our Xayah. Hitting the Scion here, look, we were going to hit him regardless on stage 6, but hitting him here is kind of a big deal since we can lock our shop and he can come in for the extra set that we have on our board. We've just got an additional 2-star set that we don't need to put on our board. So we win this fight, which means we can sell the Jhin and buy the Scion. And all of these contesting players are about to die because they just didn't have the early game or the eco that we have. So we're also lacking armor pen, so we pick up the even shroud here. Otherwise I would have taken the guard breaker. And now we know we can put this on the set because we're going to hit him next round. And our board is basically done. If we go level 8 here, we're just going to add in another Scion, and we know we're going to get a second Scion, stage 6 Dreaming Pool spawn. I don't have much more to say about this game, so let's kind of skip forward to some of the last fights here. Let's watch some of these fights and just see how strong this comp is. If you didn't already know, it's pretty broken. So we've got a full bruiser, Silco board there, everything's 3-star. And I made a mistake here by swapping my Xayah. Xayah needs to stay on Cho'Gath's side, and I think we're going to end up losing this fight because of that. Yeah, so she doesn't burst him. And here, I mean, I wanted the Thieves Gloves, but someone takes it, so I just decided to put some more armor pen on my Ashe. Doesn't really matter, nothing is going to make any difference to the fight really. Now we want to make sure that we're same side as the Cho'Gath with our Xayah. I was scouting him and I made sure that I was same side, and you're going to see what happens when Xayah gets to just lay waste to Cho'Gath and almost gets killed. Honestly, pretty unlucky that Cho'Gath got that bite off. I've had other games where I'm just able to kill the Cho'Gath before he even gets to go to my backline. But that is gonna be the guide, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe, and good luck forcing Vanquisher Ionia on your games.